Hey yo, it's your boy D5Ds here, man. And you tapped in with the youngest in charge right now. Passive income with KJ. Doing it big. DeFi.
Hex and drip, hex and drip. All a nigga need is some hex and drip. 1% a day, I be printing drip. When I get post chain, I'ma stick that shit. Hex and drip, hex and drip. All a nigga need is some hex and drip. 1% a day, I be printing drip. When I get post chain, I'ma stick that shit. 555, feel like Richard Hart. Forrest got a nigga eating off the main farm. In the pen with some pigs, in the pools with dogs. And I just got a call from the R2R.
Of structures typically and actually do not offer. I don't know a single one that offers it, so it's not typical. It's like we're the only one, and that makes a huge difference. That's millions of dollars every year, which is going to our users rather than into the pocket of myself or the dev team. And then on top of that, we are the only platform that allows users to earn a reward and a governance token, which represents your ownership and your ability to increase your ownership of the platform in order to collect a BNB and BUSD dividend, as opposed to paying out a reward token, where the main function of the reward token is as a vehicle to make speculative trades and secure profit through selling it. So our model is way more sustainable than any of the other yield farming models out there, because we're not relying on selling our reward token or our governance token as the main form of profit for our users. And our system is heavily incentivized for them to instead use those tokens by removing them off the market to increase their ownership of the platform as a whole and secure their profit through cash flows that are coming from our products and services. And currently, right now, our main service that we're providing is lending to PancakeSwap, where they're using the liquidity we have staked on the platform to create their order books and to support their other products on there, which generate a cash flow through fees. Those fees are collected on our behalf in the form of cake, which is swapped for BUSD and paid out to the Pigpen, which is the owners of the platform, the stakers of AFP. Now, this one service is a start. We needed something to be able to generate cash flow, which was not reliant on the emissions of our tokens. But we have a wide range of products that are in the process of being developed, and some of them have already been developed and are in the testing preparation for launch phase. And then also the current model that we have right now, which is the lending to PancakeSwap, is being completely revised, and we are going to have a V3 migration now that PancakeSwap has launched a V3 of their DEX, and it adds utility that you cannot find anywhere. And that, in my opinion, is going to be one of the major advancements that Animal Farm offers to DeFi in general, most specifically on BSC and for PancakeSwap stakers and liquidity providers. So, I'm referring to a range optimization product, something that will be out very soon, because we have a relatively tight deadline on when we need to get it out based on PancakeSwap adjusting the emissions that they're paying out from V2 to V3. So we have a limited time window to get it out, and we're confident that we will be able to meet this timeline. So we got a ton in the works, and we're all very excited about it.
That's awesome. We're going to talk more about, some of the cash flows that are coming in, stuff that's in development and, finished development soon. But while we're here, we have the ReapDAO tier access NFT auction on the screen right now. So I think people are curious, is this a new ReapDAO website, or what's going on here?
Yeah. So I was looking for something that I could put it in the background, and I figured I'd give a little bit of a sneak peek for something that we have in the works right now. We actually just had a meeting with Chainlink this morning about how to best implement some of the functionality of the Reap DAO. But what the Reap DAO is in its current form is a group that you get access to through holding 300 Reap tokens. This allows you access to a private Telegram group where we do information sharing, where I give information about my trades and my analysis of the market, and where people share their own analysis and their own opportunities. And we tell each other about potential projects that are coming out that we might want to get involved in, that kind of thing. And then also, we do third party and in house capital raises. So we've done raises, all of our private raises for Drip and B-Reap and Animal Farm have taken place in the Reap DAO. Before the Reap DAO existed in its current form, we did dozens and dozens of capital raises, and I worked as an advisor for some of the largest DeFi projects in the space. And what the site that you're seeing right now is an auction page for an additional 1,000 seats that we will be opening up to the DAO at a reduced cost, because currently right now you need to hold 300 REAP to be able to get access to the DAO. That costs around $50,000 or something like that. So that prices out a lot of users that could benefit from the DAO in a major way, and we could benefit from opening up more seats, but that's just going to price out the average user. That's going to price out most people. So the point of this auction and the changes that we're making to the DAO are that we will be opening up 1,000 additional seats. Those seats will be a tier 2 of the DAO. We'll be listing them at the starting auction price at a tenth of the price that it takes to get access to the current tier 1 DAO. And the people who bid on it and win their bid will get access to all of the allocations that the tier 1 DAO members get, just a smaller allocation. So that way, people who have less capital can still get involved in the raises without removing the value from the tier 1 DAO, because the people who are in the tier 1 DAO that likely paid up to 10 times the price that the tier 1 DAO members, that the tier 2 DAO members paid, get allocations that are they scale, that are representative of the fact that they paid 10 times more to get access to it. And in both cases, you're not like burning capital or giving capital that is essentially a forever commitment. So the way that you get access to the tier 1 DAO is just by buying the REAP tokens and holding the REAP tokens. At any point, you could then sell those REAP tokens, and in this way, you have not actually made a payment. You're not making a payment to me. I do not benefit as the owner of the DAO through you getting a DAO seat. You're just holding and buying REAP, which supports the REAP token, which is the first token I ever launched. But at any point, you could sell those tokens and essentially get your capital back, or potentially a lot more, because the price of REAP has appreciated over 100 times. It's like something like 700 times since launch. So almost everybody that has gotten access to it that have left have made a significant profit on the raises and the opportunities that they got in the DAO, but then also just from selling the REAP tokens when they did decide that they needed capital for whatever reason, or for whatever reason people have left the DAO. And then the reality with that is that we've had an amazing ability to retain our users in the DAO. So we only have something like a 10 to 15% turnover rate between raises, meaning when people purchase Reap to get access to the DAO for a specific raise, after the raise happens and after the contribution has taken place, we typically only see a dip of about 10 to 15% in members that leave after specific raise, because there's a lot more value to the DAO than just the contributions and the allocations that are available. They're getting information in there, they're sharing information, they're learning about my analysis of markets. So there's a lot more value there than just the raises. Now for the tier 2, you will get the NFT if you win the raise, if you win the auction. If you don't win the auction, you get your money back. You don't lose a bid. If you do win the auction, you get an NFT which represents your seat in the DAO, and at any point you can resell that NFT to someone else who wants a seat for whatever reason. Now, the reason why we're using an NFT to represent your credentials in the account is it allows for way more functionality and way more versatility in the way that we handle the claiming, vesting, and distributions associated with the DAO accounts. So, what I mean by that is someone who gets access to one of the 1,000 seats, their seat will have great value, largely based on the opportunities that are presented to DAO members and the fact that the seats are very limited to 1,000 users. But also, when someone purchases a seat at the DAO, they get access to any tokens that are associated with that seat. So if I'm a tier 2 DAO member, or even a tier 1 DAO member, because tier 1 DAO members will also get an NFT that represents their ownership, and I participated in 3 raises. Let's say one raise was no vesting. So the tokens were distributed, they're on the website available for me to claim. I participated in another raise that was vested. So I have 100 tokens vested, and maybe 10% of them are available to claim at this time. And then there was another raise that I participated in that the distribution was not made yet. So I sent the funds in, and we're waiting for the funds to be allocated, or the funds to actually be distributed to the DAO members. Now something happens. I don't know, like just whatever. A flood happens. My house floats away. I need a new house. I need to sell my DAO seat. When they list that DAO seat for sale in our marketplace, it will not only be the seat in the DAO, but also any tokens associated with it. So those tokens that are vested, those tokens that are available to claim, and any raise that they participated in that were not allocated to them yet. So if I participated in a raise that there was a lot of interest in, but I had a DAO seat, and I contribute, say, $5,000 to the raise, and maybe I paid $2,000 for the seat. Now, technically, I paid $7,000 for that, but there could be all kinds of people that wanted to participate in the raise, but were not able to because they didn't have a DAO seat. So that creates a premium that would allow someone that may wanted to be in the raise because they actually wanted to get the tokens, but now they see someone offering $10,000 for that $5,000 allocation, and they might think, hey, I really want to be in the raise, but I can't give up a guaranteed 2x on this raise. They can now sell that NFT to someone in our marketplace, and that person that purchases it gets that seat in the DAO plus any of the associated allocations. So that adds the ability for allocations that have already been invested in, available to claim, and access to future raises to be sold, swapped, transferred, loaned, all kinds of functionality because it's tied to an NFT. And nothing like that exists in the space. So that's very powerful. And that's something that we're very excited about.
So that can make your seat in the DAO even more powerful with the added NFT model of people that weren't able to get in a certain point, but now they want to, but you've got your positions That's super cool. And one thing I want to ask you as well is this auction thing. The auction, would it be, the first 1,000 people that bid, they would probably be bidding at a minimum price, and then the bids that go after that would kind of be knocking people out of the 1,000 seats? Is that kind of how the auction would work?
Exactly, because
Yeah.
we don't want to have it be a case where we have 1,000 NFTs for sale for a flat rate, and we open it up, and some bot spends $500,000 to buy them all out, and then now they're selling on a secondary market for 2x, 5x, 10x, or whatever. We don't want to have that opportunity. So having it be a auction where we set it at 1/10 of the price of the tier 1 DAO seats as the starting price, and then when people bid, each bid needs to be a little bit higher. There's a minimum threshold for the amount that you can raise the bid, and then of course at any time someone who doesn't want to be extremely active could just do a price that they see as not likely to be knocked off. So if the current bid is $1,000, let's say, you can enter in at $1,010, and you're going to knock off the $1,000 bids, and that would be the minimum that you're able to increase the bid to knock people off. But you could also say, I want to bid 2,000 because I think it's going to go. It's going to go close to 2,000, and I don't want to have to babysit it. I just want to ensure my spot. You could also do that, and that's going to keep you in there for longer. Now, the meeting that we had with Chainlink earlier today is how we're going to add cross-chain functionality to this, because we want to have the NFT on the ERC20 network, because there isn't a lot of computation that needs to take place just to represent who is the owner of the NFT and allowing them to use that as credentials to log in. That is not extensive computation, and the ERC20 network is the largest network. The issue is it's expensive, and it's expensive to do computation. But if you're doing a task that is not computatively expensive, then it makes sense to use the ERC20 network because it's the largest network. So we want to have the tickets, and also the REAP token is an ERC20 token, so it makes sense. But we want the ability to do capital raises and the ability to claim those raises on side chains and secondary EVM chains. And one reason for this, well, the reason is obvious, but one reason why we need to have that from day one is because we already have secured our first third-party raise, and it's on the Polygon Matic network. So from day one, we need to have this cross-chain functionality, because people will be holding those NFTs on the ERC20 network and logging into their account by connecting their wallet and selecting the NFT that they want to log in with. That will give them access to the specific account. And when they do so, if they have tokens on the Matic network based on a previous raise, the way that it will be confirming that they are the owner of those tokens is by them having or holding the NFT on the ERC20 network. So that creates a little bit of an issue where I like issues, right? Because that means we need to come up with innovation, which means that we're likely to be the first and only people to get it out, and there's actual room for us to set ourselves apart from the rest of the space. So issues, when I say issues, I don't mean a negative thing. I mean that this is something that we're going to opportunity. Exactly. This is something that we're going to come in and solve. So the specific thing that we're coming up with a solution for is a little bit technical, but we came up with a solution. We're looking for how we're going to implement the solution and whether we want to work with Chainlink to do it or build something in-house. But the scenario is that someone could have an NFT on the ERC20 network that represents their ownership of tokens that they participated in, allocations from raises they participated in on the Matic network and on other networks. On our marketplace, there's a display that shows all of the raises and tokens that are available to claim and are vested associated with an NFT for sale. So it shows this is a tier 2 NFT. It has this many of these tokens that are vested. It has this many of these tokens that are available to claim on this chain, on that chain, etc. So the person that's buying it knows what price they want to bid based on the seat and the associated tokens with that seat. Now, the issue that we've come up with a solution for is how to prevent people from listing the token for sale. I mean, the NFT for sale. It is a token technically, but listing the NFT for sale on the marketplace and having a bot that waits for that NFT to enter the mempool, which means it's being sold, and then go claim their tokens on the other chains because the other chains have not been updated yet that the ownership is being passed, because you cannot update that the ownership has passed until it's confirmed on the ERC20 network. So that creates an opportunity to come up with a solution there. And the way that NFT marketplaces work are that you don't stake the NFT in the marketplace when you want to sell it. You essentially just sign a contract that gives approval for the marketplace to spend it out of your wallet on your behalf. So that way you have it in your wallet. If anybody meets the bid requirements, then the marketplace contract then spends the NFT from your wallet and sends it to the user. I'm saying spend because that's the technical term for it, but it just you're giving approval for it to transfer the token from your wallet to the buyer's wallet. So because it's not being staked or anything like that, we cannot lock it up to prevent that kind of thing from happening. We could force users to stake it, but then that doesn't solve the problem for people that want to sell it on OpenSea or any of the third-party marketplaces. So the solution that we came up with is pretty great, in my opinion. People, when they go to claim the tokens on the other chains, say the Matic network, it then has them confirm a transaction on the Matic network that says, I want to claim. Let the ERC20 network know I'm trying to claim. Then that does an on-chain event that the ERC20 network reads and says, okay, he's trying to claim. Pause this NFT in two blocks. Check to make sure they're still the owner. This prevents them from selling in the same block that they're claiming. So then it pauses the NFT so they cannot transact it, checks in 2 blocks to make sure they're still the owner, to make sure they did not sell it. If they're still the owner in 2 blocks, that creates an on-chain event that lets the Matic network know, allow them to claim, and then they just claim on the Matic network. Then once they've claimed, the Matic network lets the ERC20 network know, okay, he has claimed in 2 blocks, unpause that NFT and let it be able to transfer and transact and all of this. And this is how this is similar to how cross-chain bridges work. Only with cross-chain bridges, it's a little bit easier because you're sending the token you want to bridge over to the contract, in which case you can no longer transact it. In the NFT marketplace case, you're holding the NFT in your wallet, so there's nothing to prevent you from transacting it once you go to do an action on the other chain. So this is so we came up with this solution, which just pauses it for a few blocks to confirm that you're the owner while you're claiming on the other chain. And it's very very user friendly because they don't need to do anything but go to claim, get a pop-up that says we're confirming you're the owner. This could take 1 to 2 minutes. It will on average take more like 8 seconds. It will then have once that's happened, it will then trigger a transaction that will allow them to confirm the claim, and that's it. So it's a solution that I think is elegant, that allows us to do all kinds of cool cross-chain stuff. So that's the NFT in a nutshell, and the NFT marketplace and the DAO. Users of the tier 2 will get access to raises. So the first raise that we have is a third-party raise on the Matic network that's already locked in. we'll be doing the Scratchy race shortly after that. Both are planned for June. And the site and the auction for the NFT auction is set to be ready for late this month, actually. So yeah, the development is ready to go late this month, and then at that point we will announce the date for the auction and all of that. So we have independent teams that are fully focused on all of these different things, and because of that, we're making a ton of progress. What my week looks like is having dev meetings, sometimes 2 dev meetings a day, every day of the week, and that typically looks like a meeting with each dev team twice a week, and I'm managing right now 5 dev teams, and we typically have meetings twice a week, so it's like 2 meetings every day that are dev meetings, 1 meeting for marketing once a week. That's like the big one on Friday where we plan what we're doing the next week. Then we typically have a midweek meeting where we just discuss how we're going to do it, and then aside from these meetings, we're just busy all day doing things outside of that, basically preparing things, looking at deal flow, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's extremely exciting.
We appreciate the hard work, Forex, and as we can see, all the progress is coming to fruition now, and the community is getting excited.
Yeah.
And just talking about progress, I know been hearing about the fiat on ramp and the progress that that's been making. I was wondering if you could tell us the status on the fiat on ramp.
Yeah. So we're going live with the fiat on ramp 100% this Thursday. So what we were doing is sorry, I'm doing yoga over here. So what we were doing was trying to make sure that we got the best rate possible, and also that we're able to host it in a way where we can read the volume that's taking place on our platform, and also that we're presenting it in a way that works both in a regulatory context but also in a user friendly context. And I can get into this. So we came to an agreement with the team that we were going to be utilizing them, and that we would get an API on our site and all of these things. The regulatory space shifted a little bit, and which is happening all the time in crypto. There's really nothing you can do about that other than continue to stay ahead of it and make sure that we can still get done what we need to get done while working within the rules. And oftentimes that does not mean, oh, some regulation was passed, we can't do it anymore. That means we got to work with some company that's outside of this country, or we need to set it up in a way that's completely decentralized so there's no geolocation attached to it at all, which is the first and foremost what we try to do. But in things like fiat on ramp, you can't help but to use some companies because it's payment processing and banking and that kind of thing. So we secured the deal. Then we had to make a slight adjustment to the way that we were presenting it, which is fine because the way that we've settled on is very clean, in my opinion. It's a very it's a very user-friendly dashboard that people do not need to utilize our site, or you not need to leave our site to utilize. It only requires an email to be able to do the fiat purchase. You can use prepaid cards, gift cards, prepaid debit cards, credit and debit cards, regular ones, Binance cards, Google Pay. There's a wide range of options that can potentially be anonymous, depending on how you set up the prepaid card and all Apple Pay and all of that. And since we're only requiring an email, then there's no KYC, unless, of course, you want to connect your bank account to it. Then obviously, to connect your bank account, you're gonna have to provide some banking details. But for something like just a purchase, it's no different than any other online purchase, which is very unique. There's no other fiat on ramp that allows you to make a credit or debit or prepaid purchase from uh, from your card to crypto without doing a KYC. There's no other service that I know of that allows for that. On top of that, since we're very flexible in the options such as Google Pay and these other payment structures, it's uh, we're offering payment methods that are not attached to specific identities. So we're offering the most uh, anon friendly payment system or fiat on ramp system that exists in the space, and we're doing it at a rate that is 20 to 30% better than any of the other platforms. So this is what I, I was playing a little bit hardball with the bank that we were working with, the acquiring bank. Um, we kind of agreed on terms, and then um so tip so what happened was we agreed on terms, and those terms were good, they were competitive, but when I did research into some of the other platforms, I found out two things. For one, that we could negotiate a bit harder and get a better rate for our user base. And also that these other fiat on ramp platforms are quoting one rate and charging another. So, just one example of that, Gardarian, if you look in their documents what the rate that they charge is, they will say 2.64%. But that is just the processing fee. That is not including the network fee. That's not including the fee that the card uh, uh, host, or whatever you want to call them, the people that are issuing the cards, the card issuer, is charging, and some hidden fees that I am still not sure why they're being attached. But when you put, for example, a $100 purchase on Gardarian right now for BUSD on the Binance Smart Chain, you will see that you get back around $89. So anywhere from $89 to $92, depending on the network that you choose. So that is an 8% plus fee that they're charging. If you look at MoonPay, it's the same, give or take 1%. And that's the standard. I have not seen anything better than 7.9%. On our platform, we're charging 5.46%. So it's about 25% better than any of the competitors. We're not forcing a KYC, just an email. And also, if we can increase our volume, uh, we have a contract with our acquiring banks that we can lower fees as we hit volume goals. So, for example, if we were to do something like $50 million worth of volume in a month, we would have our fee reduced essentially in half. So it's and the thing is, right now, can we do that volume? Maybe, maybe not. Can we do that volume when we have all of the games up and people are sending capital in and out of our system at a rate that's competitive with a Roobet or a Stake or something like that? Absolutely, we can do that, and it's very important that we're able to be competitive in that way, because we have competition, and right now our competition, in my opinion, is not just the DeFi model. Our competition is also the centralized model, because we're coming up with solutions and products which are very much challenging to the centralized model, and we need a way for them to be utilized in all aspects, including on and off ramps that are competitive. So this is why I would rather um, uh, put my energy and resources into getting it right than getting it out necessarily rushed. And we put in the work to do it right, and it's going to be out this Thursday. And yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of a celebration around it. We'll have the voice chat on Thursday. We'll have some influencer stuff going out, and then also I have an interview which we'll be recording on Thursday with a pretty big YouTuber. He gets like 30,000 plus views per video. He has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and that is specifically to promote the fiat on ramp and everything else involved, because we want to make sure that the wider crypto space knows if you want to use a fiat on ramp, we're the place to be. Animal Farm is where you need to go because you're going to get a better rate and you're not going to get KYC'd.
That's super, super exciting for it. And like you just said, I kind of feel it's perfect time to get the fiat on ramp out before all these games on Animal Farm, start coming. I mean, you've said in previous AMAs that you'll have all the games on a separate site and a fiat on ramp right there, and with the high quality of the games making us a competitor to, companies like stake.com, verifiably fair. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit, I guess moving on into all the games that are coming out, maybe more of the progress has been made, and why these games are going to be, have the potential to be the best out there that the market has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So the progress of the games is very strong. So that's I would say on all accounts we're really making strong progress. But the games are something that I'm particularly confident in as far as their ability to perform and our ability to deliver something that is very, very competitive and in fact much better than the centralized model. So currently we just released the a example of the UI that people could visit and see and check out the referral system, check out how the VIP tiers go, all of that. This week we're focused on the fiat on ramp and getting that delivered. Next week we should be in a position where we can start to have some tests of the test net go out. So there's two kinds of tests that we want to do. One of them will be a test net on the Binance Smart Chain, one of the Binance Smart Chain test nets. And this will be a more public test that will open to hundreds of people that want access to it. And this is going to be the core component of the Piggy Plinko game, only utilizing BNB, because since it's a test net, there's no AFD or any of these tokens deployed on it. And it's easy for people to get testnet BNB. They can use a faucet to be able to get it. So we're going to issue that. That's going to get a wide user base testing the core components of the Piggy Plinko game. And we're also going to be releasing a private test group for a forked sidechain of BSC. And this is so we can test it in an environment that is exactly the same as the environment that it'll be going live in, because we can fork the current Binance Smart Chain chain, the environment, which has all of our tokens launched on it, which has all of the contracts deployed in the state that there will be on mainnet, that has PancakeSwap and Chainlink and all of these other products already integrated into it. And the reason why we'll have a relatively limited test group for this is because it requires a more direction to be able to set this up. The user will have to go put in a custom RPC, potentially run a script, and it's a little more complex. We have to run it on our own node, and with when you're running your own node, it's rate limited, so there's limitations. But the main limitation is just the fact that we have to give direction to people to set it up. And, so we'll likely get, I would say 20 to 50 people that are developers and technical people to get involved in that testing process. Now, the one thing that we have left to do for Piggy Plinko outside of testing is the implementation of the referral system. So right now, I have the core game developer who I brought on, who is primarily an extremely talented front end dev. But if you're an extremely talented front end dev that knows React, that is very talented and knowledgeable in JavaScript and these other languages, um, Solidity is not really an issue. It's just the understanding all of the associated features with how the chain works and everything like that outside of the language itself. So we're working with him. I gave him the game contract in its 90% completed state. So we then brought on the contract dev that did Animal Farm V2 to help advise him and work with him to test and audit his code and be a resource to be able to answer questions for him. And that's how we worked until we got the full game and how the game is integrated into the ecosystem built. Now, the one last thing to do is the referral system. The referral system is a significant job. It's something that is unique, that requires problem solving, and that requires a lot of time and effort and resources to be put into just focus on that. So, what I did 2 days ago, because now we're at the point to just focus on the referral system because everything else is done, is I hired an additional dev that's very experienced and talented in Solidity to come in to work with our current team just to focus on testing and building the referral system so we can get it done as soon as possible. But the beautiful thing about it is we can have the core components of the game being tested on testnet while we're wrapping up the development of the referral system. So it's going to look like we release it on testnet as the core components of the game, just with the B&B implementation. While this is being done, we're wrapping up the referral system, and then we will have a limited closed sidechain test with everything in the exact state it will launch in mainnet with the referral system. And at that point, we're ready to deliver. So, as people know, people that have been paying attention for the last few months, I do not want to give a launch date for anything until the development is 100% complete, because I want people to know that when I give a launch date, it's serious and there will be no delays, and we will nail that launch date, and everybody can, bet their bottom dollar on it, essentially. So, what I've committed to is having some significant development update that the community can engage with and see and verify for themselves that progress is being made every week until we're at a point to give the launch date. And this way, people are not concerned that, they've been saying that this is being done, but we're not seeing it be done, kind of thing. They can verify for themselves, okay, we're getting closer and closer and closer every week. And then when we get the launch date, by that point, they'll already know, okay, it's been tested. We were participants in the testing, and here's the date. And we're going to give a date with a nice runtime, because marketing is very important. So we want to have about a month run up where we have the date announced. It's completely finished with development, and we have a very strong, focused marketing campaign built around it. So there's the Piggy Plinko game that is going live on the Animal Farm site, and it's going to be hosted on the Animal Farm site first. Then we have 5 other games that are already developed in the state that Piggy Plinko was developed when I gave it to our devs to continue working on it. Meaning, it's all of the game components and all of the logic is built. it needs to be made more efficient with the solutions that we built for Piggy Plinko, which is just a matter of taking the solutions we built for Piggy Plinko and plugging it into the new games, taking the contracts that we built for tying it into our existing ecosystem, which is also a matter because we built all these things in a way that we can just plug in new games. So, all of that, and also the referral system is not a referral system just for Piggy Plinko. It's a referral system for all of the games. So building the new games is literally just a matter of building out the UI for it. So when we get Piggy Plinko out, we will then put our focus 100% on building a unique website just for the games with a UI that is not intimidating, that does not make people feel like they need to read 5 white papers to participate in playing a game of Plinko or roulette, and launch that as an independent platform. But it will still have some profit share with Animal Farm, and part of the site will be, do you want to become an owner? And link them over to Animal Farm where they can learn more about becoming an owner. But the vast majority of the site, and as far as what the average user, 90% of users will be concerned with, is it's a gaming site that effectively looks and acts exactly like Stake or Roulette or any of their favorite centralized one. The gameplay is just the same or better, just as fast, just as efficient, but the games are verifiably fair and open source, and all of the great things about blockchain. Um, those games are going to be delivered very quickly because, as I said, they don't require any kind of additional development. They just require uh, putting together the UI. When I say development, I mean back end contract, like major development. All that needs to be done is the UI for it, and and plugging them into our existing contracts, which are built to have games easily plugged into. Our game devs at that point will then focus on additional development of games, which will require more innovation and more actual work and problem solving. But by that point, we'll have the 6 core games out, which are the 6 most popular games on these centralized platforms. And when I talk about what this next game that we'll have coming over that takes some innovation, what we're looking at doing is a peer-to-peer cash and tournament hold'em, right?
Nice.
So yeah, that's something that I'm absolutely committed to do, that I think the space needs, that would have huge demand and has huge demand. So yeah, that's the games, and we're working overtime. We just had a meeting about it yesterday with 8 people. We got right now an 8-man team fully focused on getting this out the door. So yeah, and things are running smooth. Things are running very smooth with it.
That's awesome. Also, I think another big thing to point out about all these games is that people actually have the opportunity to be involved in the profit sharing and earning revenue from the money generated from this these games, and
Yeah,
people actually have the opportunity to accumulate their ownership of it now before any of the games are even out. So I just
mhm.
want you to maybe talk on like the opportunity that people have, and a bit about the profit sharing model that this has that no other gaming company has.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that you're bringing that up because that is important. That's very important for people that are listening now. Maybe the most important thing. So the profit sharing is built in a way so 40% of the profit that the house earns goes to the stakers of AFP on Animal Farm in the form of BUSD. Uh, it also supports the Animal Farm and the Animal Farm assets through what we call dog mode. So dog mode in Piggy Plinko allows people who are playing with BNB and BUSD to decide to take their payouts in AFD. And for doing that, they get a 10% bonus across the board on all prizes. And the way that flow goes is they wager with BNB or they wager with BUSD, the the game goes through, they win some sort of prize, but it does not matter if because the way that Plinko works is there's no outcome where you lose or you win. It's not a binary. It's a multiplier that is applied to your wager. So, worst case scenario, you land on a zero point 0.4 multiplier, which means the $10 you wagered, for example, just returned you $4. And then there's up to 1,000x multiplier, which of course, means you bet you bet $10, you win $10,000, right? Which is massive. So the so regardless of the outcome of the game, whether it was a profitable outcome or an unprofitable outcome, uh, either way, that payment is coming from the bankroll. And if you're playing in dog mode, any payment that's coming from the bankroll is being swapped for AFD and made available for the user to claim. So let's say that you wagered $100 worth of BUSD, you won $200, you're playing in dog mode. Now, at the point that those prizes are won, it takes the $200 worth of BUSD, it swaps it for AFD, which is a buy of AFD on PancakeSwap, and then it makes that AFD available for them to claim. So that drives capital directly into the AFD token in a way that can only appreciate the value. And now, when they get that prize paid out in AFD, they are in the system. They have that 90% vesting model, and in order to make full benefit from that AFD, they need to utilize it in our system. So that creates not only a large cash flow into AFD, but also every time someone plays in dog mode, they're directly onboarded into the system and start utilizing all of our other products. Now, in the case that they wager $100, and and it ends up being not profitable. So they wager $100, they land on a 0.8x multiplier, so they get back $80. If they're playing in dog mode, what happens is that $80 gets taken out of the BUSD bankroll, is swapped for AFD, and made available for them to claim. So it doesn't matter what the outcomes are, it's always driving capital into AFD, purchasing it in a way that then vests the user. So this is the direct tokenomics behind how it supports the ecosystem. So direct cash flow and onboarding into AFD, and a huge cash flow into the AFP token, which requires a staking, purchasing, earning of the AFP token in order to benefit from that. So it's fully supporting the ecosystem in every way possible with a great incentive structure. And then on top of that, it becomes a huge promotional marketing vehicle, because it's very difficult for the average influencer to make content about a staking contract, or to make content about some sort of system where you earn arbitrage, or it's just, this is too complex and outside of the space of the average viewer. And also, it's something that is difficult to make content about, and difficult to make engaging content about. Now, guys like you, guys like Ray, guys like Stunna clearly make engaging content about it and are able to engage an audience, because there is an audience for it. It's just not the largest audience compared to some of the other forms of content that you can create. But clearly people are able to make engaging content about it. But when it comes to gaming and playing games on stream and gambling on stream, that audience is much larger, and there's a much lower threshold for influencers to be able to make engaging content about that. They can sit on stream and play Pliggy Plinko for hours, and they'll get a large user base. And some portion of that user base will want to go play. And when they go play, they're driving cash flow into Animal Farm, they're going to Animal Farm site, and they're getting directly onboarded through dog mode, which they will be incentivized to play because they'll see the streamers playing with that. And then also they'll go and they'll see, hey, what's this dog mode? They click, oh, well, I can earn 10% more. Why not? And then they play, and then they realize, okay, I wanted dogs. How do I use the dogs? How do I take advantage of this? And then we got an onboarding. This is going to be even more so when we have the full gaming platform, which between the gaming platform, the V3 migration, and the super chat product, which we can go into, in my opinion, they compound on each other so strongly, and they are some of the most needed and the highest utility, undeniable utility products that we could deliver, and they're going to generate a massive cash flow. And I feel better about the products that we're developing right now than I ever have, because although we were coming up with solutions and making improvement to the existing model with everything that we've developed, now we're starting to reach outside of crypto to the traditional market and using blockchain technology to solve those problems, like Super Chat, like the centralized gambling platforms, and while continuing to kind of stick with our roots with solving issues in DeFi, like the V3 migration, which also is something I really would like to get into, because that's something that's coming soon. That's big.
Well, I'm super excited for all the games, and yeah, I mean, I heard you talking a little bit about the V3 migration the other day.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear you talk more about that right now.
Sure, yeah. So I think I might have spoken about it in like a public voice chat, or maybe you heard me because I jumped in voice chat just quickly because I wanted to explain it because it was on my
Yeah, I was
mind.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think many people have heard the details about it, because that was like an unplanned thing where I jumped in. So the way that PancakeSwap V3 works is you add liquidity as a user, and the amount of fees that you generate plus the amount of APY that you generate in the PancakeSwap farm is dependent on how close you are adding that liquidity to the current price. So the closer you add liquidity to the current price, the higher the APY that you can generate in the farm, and the more fees that you can collect. But the issue with that is, if you add the liquidity too close and the price moves outside of your range, you're no longer earning on it. So if you were to put the price, add your liquidity within a 10% move of the price, you're going to earn significant fees and significant APY in the farm, much more than you would from PancakeSwap V2. But these are volatile assets. BNB moves 5 or 10% on a daily basis, sometimes weekly, sometimes daily. So it would require you doing constant management of your range position in order to optimize the yield that you're making. And if you don't have any kind of market making skills or trading skills, it's going to be difficult for you to know when to be managing it, when to be doing the adjustment to optimize it, and being that done in a manual way is impossible to optimize, essentially. So what we've built with our V3 migration is a range optimization algorithm that sets the liquidity at a range to earn the most optimal fees and the most optimal APY on the stake in PancakeSwap, without being at a range where the price is regularly moving outside of that range, and without being without requiring the need to be constantly updating this range. So it costs money every time you update your range, so that's something that you want to limit. It also you don't earn if it goes outside of that range. but you want it as close as possible. So I've been building an algorithm for the past week, um, just focused on providing the range, the liquidity, as close as possible without having the price ever move outside of the range, and only needing to adjust it 3 times a day. And I've been working on an algorithm that does this through both looking at the average range for that asset over a period of time, uh, back testing that range, and how often it needs to be updated in order to keep the price within that range, with a function that updates the range if the price gets close to going outside of it, and then dialing in these values in a way to get that price range as close as possible while meeting these criteria, and then doing a ton of back testing just to dial it in and dial in the algorithm. So when it's automated, it will be able to manage itself in a way that constantly keeps the liquidity of our stakers range very close to the price, but adjust it when it needs to adjust it, and adjusting it as infrequently as possible. So the way that we're doing this, without getting into a ton of detail, because uh, now's not the time, I think, to get into a ton of detail. For one, because we're trying to be the first to get this out to the market, and that requires keeping some of the information close to our chest. But um, essentially, it allows people to add the liquidity through our platform. We then manage that liquidity utilizing our decentralized contract, non-custodial contract, the same way we're doing the animal farm lending right now. When the user stakes, they can either do it by creating the liquidity on our platform, which stakes it in the most optimal range, or staking an NFT on our platform, which then adjusts their current NFT to the most optimal range, adjusts that range uh, uh up to 3 times a day, or potentially more if needed, if the price gets close enough to going outside of that range, uh and taking those NFTs that have been created, because PancakeSwap v3, when you add liquidity, it doesn't give you an LP token. V2, you add liquidity, it gives you an LP token that just represents the amount of liquidity you added, and now you put that in the farm and you can earn whatever 8 to 12%. With the new model, you get an NFT that represents the amount of assets you added plus the range in which you added them, and then that determines the amount of fees that you collected and the amount of yield that you're collecting in the back end. So people can either create the liquidity where the NFT is created, they can add liquidity through our site where the NFT is created on their behalf in the most optimal range, and then managed with to keep it in the most optimal range, or they can stake an existing NFT. But when they stake that existing NFT, it adjusts it to be in the most optimal range. It then takes those NFTs, stakes them in the PancakeSwap V3 farm, where it's earning anywhere from 50 to 150% based on our studies in cake, which will be swapped for BUSD and paid out to the pigpen. And then on top of that, it's earning between 50 to 80% in fees, whereas the V2 model, the amount of fees that you were able to collect was extremely negligible, like less than 1 or 2% APY. And then the way that they were made available to you was in a very poor and inefficient way, where it was very difficult to even tell what you were able to get and what you've earned. So the in this case, the fees that are earned will be claimed 3 times a day, and compounded into the user's position. So if you're in BNB BUSD, for example, right now with the current with our current algorithm that we're running in testing based on the range that we're setting, you're earning about 40 to 50% in fees APY on the BNB BUSD pair. So that 50% APY will be earned. That's earned in BNB and BUSD. Uh, it, it is then claimed multiple times a day and then compounded into the user's position, allowing them to now increase their BNB and BUSD holdings, increasing the amount of fees they're able to collect and the amount of yield that we're earning on the back end, allowing you to earn compound interest on your BNB and BUSD in a way that will result in APY and fees alone being much, much greater than 50% because it's 50% compounded. And of course, compound growth. You have my quote right there, which is probably actually not my quote. It's probably actually a quote that is misassociated with Einstein, right? But anyways, so that's the fee structure, and then the APY that's being earned on the back end will be treated essentially the same as we're treating the APY that's on the back end now, that's being earned in PancakeSwap's V2 farms. In this case, will be the V3 farms. Will be earning up to 5 to 10x what we're earning now in Cake, and that will be swapped for BUSD and paid out to the Pigpen. So we're going to see an increase just from the V3 migration of the BUSD that is being sent to the Pigpen by anywhere from 5 to 10x, but also it will be the only platform that you can have your range optimized and handled in an automatic way on PancakeSwap V3, and have all of the fees that you're collecting due to this optimized range be compounded into your liquidity position, earning you compound interest in whatever assets you're providing liquidity to, and of course, increase your ability to earn on it. So that alone is a product in itself, right? But the adding that to the whole ecosystem of Animal Farm just really, really takes us to the next level. Because if you want to be a liquidity provider on PancakeSwap, there's no other place that makes sense to be in. And if you want to be in the PancakeSwap farm, if you're an existing LP provider, it makes no sense to access it on your own, because likely what will happen is if you're not staying on it multiple times a day, the price is going to move outside of your range, and now the yield that you're earning on the farm goes to zero, the fees you're earning goes to zero, and we can manage all of that for you. So that is in a non-custodial way, a DeFi non-custodial way. So it's a massive update that's coming to Animal Farm. It will not require any kind of relaunch of tokens or anything like that. We won't even be relaunching the MasterChef contracts. It's a series of um, intermediary contracts that we'll be deploying, and it will be as easy as um, the migration process on PancakeSwap is right now to migrate from V2 to V3. It's essentially, you will have a migrate button. You will click the migrate button. A pop-up window will come up that will show you steps 1 through 5. Each step will require you to do an action, whether it's an approval or a confirmation of a transaction. And by the time it's completed, you will be completely migrated in the most optimal range from V2 to V3 and earning right away. Now,
So if I can just confirm that quickly.
yeah,
So
sure.
if you were staking, for example, BNB BUSD in the farm, you're not only earning AFD, but you're earning additional BNB BUSD to your stake. That's correct, right?
Yes, and that's different from PancakeSwap V2, and that's different from Animal Farm, the current Animal
Yeah.
Farm as well. Right now, we're on Animal Farm V2, and we will be on Animal Farm V3, and PancakeSwap will be on Animal Farm V3. So basically, every time PancakeSwap does a new major update from V1 to V2 to V3, we also end up doing a V1 to V2 to V3, because one of our main cash flows is doing this lending to PancakeSwap. So it's important that we are able to evolve with the space. So yes, not only will you be earning AFD, you'll be earning the fees, which is right now the fees that you're earning in V2 is negligible. It's not even like it's hard to even notice if you are earning in them, and most likely the impermanent loss that you're suffering could be less than the fees that you're actually earning. Now, of course, an animal farm staker and investor doesn't have to worry about that because the AFD that you're earning far outweighs any kind of impermanent loss that you would suffer. And then the fees in itself should mostly make up for it, if not make up for it. And then on top of that, you're earning cake in the back end if you stake AFP. But the V3 model is just like light years ahead of it because you go from earning potentially no fees to a negligible amount to 50 to 80% compounded, plus a huge amount of cake, which is swapped for BUSD and paid out to the pigpen. And then on top of that, you're earning AFD. Now, we are also going to be greatly reducing the emission rate of AFD, or the inflation rate is another way to say it. AFD has something, and so does AFP for that matter, but AFD has something called the Decentralized Dynamic Supply Control Algorithm. And that looks at the current demand for AFD and AFP separately and either adjust the inflation rate and the emission rate higher or lower within a range that we found to be sustainable to have the most optimal price performance of these assets given the current market conditions. So, as AFD has moved from a restricted to a deflationary emission rate, the price has remained around $8, ranging back and forth depending on what the market is doing. But it's been basically stable around that price since it has reduced down to a deflationary emission rate. Now, what we plan to do is remove the single asset staking options. Why are we doing that? Because right now they're accounting for about 40% of the inflation of AFD without allowing us to earn essentially any cash flow. So we are taking a deposit withdrawal fee that gets swapped for BUSD and gets paid out to the pigpen, and that gets utilized to buy back AFD and adds that to the liquidity pool of AFD. But a relatively small fee, right? Split. When I say 6%, it's not 6% on deposit withdrawal. It's split between the two. So 3%, 3%. A one-time small fee like that is not a strong cash flow. That that brings in some good money whenever we have major deposit withdrawal events. We launch something, a lot of cash flow comes into it. We collected some decent amount of money, but not enough to justify 40% of the inflation of AFD. Now, through doing that, we are allowing the price of AFD to now perform at a much greater pace because the demand will increase due to the functionality of the V3 that we're doing, the range optimization, and all this additional functionality and use case that we're adding to it, plus the inflation rate will be reduced by 40%. So right now the price is stable. So we can all speculate on what the price will do when that happens, right? I'm very positive about it. And we do plan to eventually add the single asset staking back, but we plan to add it back when we finish the development of a product that allows us to earn significant capital on our single assets. That way, the cash flow that we're earning on our single assets justifies the inflation rate associated with it because we're earning more capital from outside products and services than the value that is being leached from the system from our inflation rate. Then that way we're net positive on the volume of capital coming into the system rather than out of the system through inflation. So now is a better time than ever, in my opinion, to both purchase and be earning AFD and AFP, because the inflation rate's about to drop by 40%. We're about to add all of this new utility. The new utility that we're adding is going to increase the cash flows that we're earning by 5 to 10x on the yield alone, and even much higher on fees. And this a large portion of this is used to support the assets and of course create the BUSD, which is paid out in AFP, which is a major part of the incentive structure that incentivizes people to buy and earn and purchase AFD and AFP. And then we also are right around the corner from Piggy Plinko in the game. So in my opinion, there's no better time to get involved than right now.
There's a lot to be excited about, and
Yeah.
like we were saying earlier, the chance for people to get their ownership now of all the cash flows associated with all these new products coming out before they're released is a
Yep.
massive opportunity.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to quickly ask you about that, I think can add more cash flows to the ecosystem is Scratchy. And
Yep.
I was just wondering, we haven't. I don't think we've covered the tokenomics and math behind Scratchy in a while. I was
Yeah.
wondering what kind of cash flows and how the cash flows would be generated from that project.
Yeah, absolutely. So Scratchy is a project that we have which is finished development, which was in the testing phase. The developers of the core development team of Animal Farm are also the core developers of Scratchy. So uh, we're finished with the development of Scratchy. We're in the testing and auditing phase. We put it on the shelf because right now it's extremely important that we do the V3 Pancake Swap migration and the V3 Animal Farm migration. But Scratchy is a massive product that is going to be part of the gaming platform, and also another product that is going to be hosted on Animal Farm and also Drip. And the way that Scratchy works is that it has a every day, and not just every day. It's not necessarily based on time, but at the end of every batch, let's say, we release a 10,000 ticket batch of scratch cards. So it's almost an exact replica of the current traditional scratch ticket model. The big difference is it's on chain, it's verifiably fair, and instead of 60% of the capital and cash that's going to buy the tickets going to administrators and the state, uh, virtually all of it is going back to the user. So the way that the cash flows break down is that 65% of all the BNB used to purchase tickets go towards the prize of the next round. An additional 10% of all the BNB that is used to buy tickets in a batch go towards the jackpot treasury. And then the host of the tickets, because it's a white label service that anybody can host a sale of their own tickets on their platform, chooses the percentage of the jackpot treasury that they want to allocate towards a given jackpot for a specific round. And they can choose between a range of 3% to 20%. That way, on big events, say they have a new partnership or they have some big thing they want to promote, they can increase the jackpots for those batches around that. An additional 15% goes towards the buying back of the host's native asset. So that can be used as a cash flow to the people that are hosting it, or it could be used as a reward mechanism. So the host can decide to take the tokens that are bought back through the buyback mechanism of Scratchy to be a reward distribution through staking, whether it be on their platform or a partnership vault on Animal Farm, which we are waiting to deliver until we have until we release Scratchy, because Scratchy just creates such a great opportunity for people to establish a partnership vault with us, because instead of having to give us a percentage of their supply, which they own from launch or comes through inflation, we can have the reward that's being paid out coming from the buybacks of Scratchy. There's another percentage that goes, essentially the remaining percentage goes towards a profit share model where those who do not win on their ticket can stake the ticket in order to earn a share of all the BNB raised through the sale of tickets across all platforms that adopt our structure. So it's a white label service that essentially anybody can integrate into their smart contract network. They only need to provide the contracts for it to be wired into, which could be as simple as a Pancake Swap contract if you just want the buybacks to be done directly off of Pancake Swap, and assets for the graphics on the tickets. So it could be their branding, and or we have a very good designer. They could work with our designer potentially, and we could have those designs made. And the ability to import an iframe into their website, which is a very, very easy way that takes about a day to essentially project a dashboard on your site, which is being hosted on a third-party site. In that case, we would be hosting the sale of their tickets on our Scratchy site in a way that could not be accessed by people visiting our site, but would be displayed on the partner site through an iframe. So the people that are visiting their site, as far as they're concerned, are seeing the sale of tickets with the platform's branding, with on their site, buying back their token. So it's really something that that the host can kind of adopt as their own, and we're giving them the tools to be able to do that. But we benefit through the profit share model as the primary way that we're benefiting, because people that purchase the tickets on Animal Farm or Drip or the gaming site and go and stake the unwinning tickets on the Scratchy site, are increasing the B&B cash flows that they're earning as people adopt the model on these third-party sites. So it's creating more and more value for people to purchase those tickets on the Drip site and the Animal Farm site and the game site as widespread adoption occurs for this game. And an additional mechanic that we created is a time-weighted mechanism that essentially associates a multiplier with a ticket based on the price of the ticket. So a 1 B&B ticket has a 5x multiplier, and a 3 B&B ticket has a 15x multiplier. And this multiplier determines the amount of the profit share that you collect. And this profit share reduces, this multiplier, reduces at a rate, a linear rate over 5 weeks. So the 5x multiplier reduces at a rate of 1x per week until the end of 5 weeks. And at that point, you're no longer able to earn off that ticket. So that way, the pool does not get diluted, where thousands, tens of thousands of tickets are being sold every day, and some percentage, let's say 30% of them, are being staked, and those are earning for a lifetime. And eventually you have a model where it's very diluted and everybody's earning such a small amount. In this case, as more platforms adopt adopt Scratchy, as more platforms adopt the protocol, the amount of BNB cash flow that's being sent to the profit sharing pool is growing exponentially. At the same time, the people who are earning in there that are not continuously buying tickets are having what they're able to earn from that reducing. So it incentivizes active participants from the users that are earning the profit share, and it also creates a secondary market where people who want to purchase the ticket because they want to participate in the ability to win a prize, can sell the tickets uh, with the multiplier associated with them if they don't want to get involved with the profit sharing. So I could see a scenario where someone, um, they just want to play the game, they want to buy more tickets, they want to see if they can earn something right now. So they might not be interested in staking and earning over time. They may be more interested with buying a ticket for zero point 0.3 BNB, seeing if they won. If they didn't win, maybe they sell the ticket on a secondary market for zero point 0.2 BNB to someone who doesn't care about winning a prize, but they want to stake it to earn the profit share. And that way, they can then take that zero point 0.2 BNB and use it to buy more tickets. So it really creates a strong secondary market effect that is um, a secondary market that is controlled, because one of the issues with NFTs is if you have a model where where new NFTs are constantly being introduced to the space, eventually the value of the NFTs being sold by the platform become less valuable than what they're being sold for on a secondary market, and nobody wants to buy them off the platform. They just want to buy them off the secondary market, and you have a more and more decreasing value. Um, Having the value of the ticket tied to a multiplier that reduces over time as you utilize it ensures that the NFT market does not become diluted over time. So it's always more attractive to buy the ticket off eh, off the platform, if your intentions is scratching it to win a prize and also becoming a profit share. And then, of course, there will always be a secondary market, which is a good thing for people that don't want to participate in trying to win a prize. They're more interested in just the investment aspect of it. So our rewards are and our prizes are very strong. We're going to be starting off with six-figure jackpots, and odds that are in line with the traditional scratch ticket model. We actually hired a researcher to research a, a whole bunch of state lottery systems and look at their scratch tickets and look at different ways that they set up their prize distribution and when they increase them, when they decrease them. It's seasonal. How they like to mix it up across different batches in order to get an average yield over time. The fact that we know exactly what the prizes will be, exactly how many prizes there will be, and what the jackpot and all prize tiers are going to be before any batch goes out means that we can ensure that where each batch is profitable, each batch is sustainable, and it's something that is a very strong business model that I think everybody is aware of. And the main thing that prevents the traditional scratch ticket model from being something that thrives more than it already is the fact that 60% of everything that's earned by them goes to the state and goes to administrators. So, but even with that, it's an extremely well performing business model, and ours will just be that much stronger. We came up with the technology in order to be deriving thousands of users' outcomes for their tickets. And that technology is the same technology that we implemented to our Piggy Plinko and other games in order to make them efficient uh, to run as efficiently as a centralized model would, as far as the user perspective goes, how fast we can get the results of games, how many users we can process per block, all of that stuff was technology that we invented for Scratchy. And just to say what the current biggest competitor to Scratchy is right now, I would say that's Pancake Swap Lottery. Where Pancake Swap Lottery is a model where you buy a ticket or you buy a couple tickets. There's a 24-hour countdown. You have to wait for that 24-hour countdown to go to zero. When it does, it makes a VRF call. One ticket is chosen the winner. A payment goes out, and then it restarts over again. This is, in my opinion, nothing compared to what we're doing because our model is not time based. You can buy a ticket, you can scratch your ticket right there. If you won, you can immediately claim your B&B. You can go spend that B&B on the same batch to buy more tickets. If you did not win, you can stake it to earn a profit share, which is something that Pancake Swap does not offer. And it's just way more of an engaging system, mostly because you get immediate results, right? And that kind of instant gratification are what people that are interested in games are looking for. So it's it's when I said that we have the DAO, that the development for the DAO site will be wrapped up by the end of this month, so we can start preparing for raises in June. One of those raises is a third party raise. The other raise I was referring to was Scratchy. So that's our full focus. The Scratchy team's full focus is the V3 migration, but then we just are going to be wrapping up the testing and auditing of Scratchy, and then that will be out the door. And then I would say there's two more big development products that we're working on. As I said, right, I'm managing 5 different dev teams at the same time, which is only possible thanks to BP, our project manager, who we brought on maybe 4 or 5 months ago. He's, like, he is, I would say right now, like the backbone. He is the one that's handling all of the comms between teams. He's doing all of the scheduling and the outlines, the development outlines, and he's allowing me to focus on problem solving, coming up with things we want to build, actually like developing the algorithm for the range optimization, and really just thinking about the next thing that I want to build and how we can actually build the stuff that we have right now in the works in the best way possible. And also right now, a lot of our focus has been marketing and trying to improve our marketing and getting prepared for a major marketing push that will be structured around Piggy Plinko and the game launch. So right now, a lot of our focus is getting prepared for about a month in the future for a major push. And we just hired a advisor who did revenue optimization for Stake and a bunch of other centralized casinos. So we hired him as an advisor. He was able to give us a bunch of inside information about Stake, proof that they on games that they're saying that they have a 98% edge, that they really have more like a 56% edge, and all kinds of crazy stuff like that we've been able to prove. And we've also gotten public statements by Stake's biggest influencer confirming this, and all kinds of stuff that we're going to bring to the table as a promotional tool when we're ready to do it, once we have that launch date out. But bringing on this advisor right now, his main focus is helping the marketing team to ensure that our vision is getting across, doing influencer outreach specific to gaming influencers that he has a connection to, and making sure there's a level of essentially accountability on the marketing team, and that we're getting done what we need to get done without myself and BP having to be spending hours of our day focusing on it, which basically is the case now, and has been the case for months, which is difficult, right? Um, and then once he's we've really got that in line to what we're happy with, then he'll take on a role that is more focused on what um his most valuable skill is, in my opinion, the thing that he has the most experience in, which is optimizing our revenue streams and making sure we're earning the most from our gaming platform primarily. So that's another thing that we're making a lot of progress on. We just set up a TikTok. So we set up a TikTok account yesterday. We did not announce it. I don't believe, maybe it was announced in the community, but we want to really get the ball rolling on it with short form content before we really make a big deal about it. Like we're at a point where we want to do, and then after it's done, talk about it rather than talk about doing something and then do it. So we're trying to get as much of that stuff rolling before we make a big deal about it. But we have set up a TikTok, and we will be having a contest soon, which will look like uh, whoever creates the best short form content, whether that is clipping of one of our long form content or their own original short form content. We will be promoting it on all of our channels with their referral link. So we know that referral links work well if the user knows that they can earn some significant cash flow from them. We know that clipping up long form content into short form content on YouTube and shorts, YouTube Shorts and TikTok is something that works very well for promoting referral links. And we just need to create a model where we're making it easy for people to earn in that way. When we have the games going and all of that, then it's going to be a no-brainer, super easy. But we want to get the ball rolling on that beforehand. So we're going to start having some contests around that. And then also, we've built a product that is similar to Gleam, which interacts with a bunch of social media APIs that allows users to buy into the raffle. They get a ticket when they do the initial buy into the raffle, and then they can get additional tickets for doing things like following a tweet, retweeting, making a post, etc. And then that initial buy-in that's required in the form of BUSD is used to swap into AFD and then pay out the winner. So it's a raffle model similar to Gleam, but it's built on Web3 and allows us to guarantee onboarding from the participants. So the issue with something like Gleam is they do not allow you to do a purchase as part of the raffle, and also they have no Web3 implementation, so it's centralized, and for all we know, the contest could be rigged. Like, who knows? It's not open source. It's not on chain. But what we've built and put together, which we'll be utilizing relatively shortly, is a model where, let me just give an example with Gleam. With Gleam, someone can create a Twitter account, follow, like, share, do all of these things for the contest, and then as soon as the contest is over, they unfollow, they leave the Telegram group. They weren't paying attention in the first place. They just did it because it's a chance to win money. And there's no guarantee that you're actually getting an onboarding from the participants. It does help to some degree because you are creating an incentive for people to join the groups, and some percentage of those people will join the groups and see what's available to offer, and they'll get involved. But the turnover is relatively low. But with what we built, they're purchasing their raffle ticket, and then they can increase the chances of their raffle ticket winning by doing these other actions. And by purchasing the raffle ticket, we're guaranteeing that at least some capital from every participant is going towards an onboarding and a supporting of our asset, because it all gets swapped for AFD and paid out. And then that also guarantees that the person that is winning the jackpot is invested in our system because it's getting paid out in AFD. And this is not just something that we'll be utilizing in our system. it's a service that we would like to provide DeFi in general, so people to be able to host these contests on their site. That's something that we're doing kind of behind the scenes, but we've made a lot of progress on that as well. So, it's there's so much going on. As I said, like I have at least 2 meetings a day about a different development thing that we're working on every week. So it's it's a lot. Now I don't know. I don't know if I should. We've said so much, right? But there are a couple more things we should say. I do want to address drip, and then maybe shortly we could talk about the super chat deal that just went through. But that's something that uh, we're just starting development on, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I think it's important people know that it's coming because I mean, super chats, DeFi super chats, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of people in the comments looks like they wanted to hear about drip, so I suppose we can cover that.
yeah.
We can get to covering drip right now.
Cool. Yeah. So, uh, as I've been giving updates with Drip and about Drip, um, I've been very transparent with the current state of everything that's been going on. So when we started building Drip, we hired a team to do all of the work. It was a 5-man team. And I don't want to get too much into the weeds on what happened because we were able to work it out in a very amicable way. So I don't want to jeopardize that by getting back into the weeds here. But just to give some transparency, um, we hired a 5-man team to do a new design of Drip, to implement all of the cool analytics that are on all of the other third-party drip sites on our site, to do an improved airdropping system that allows people to bundle their airdrops so they don't have to do a new transaction for every airdrop. They can just choose who they want to airdrop to and do it all in one transaction. A fiat on-ramp, which is not just a fiat on-ramp, but also has smart contracts to allow for the purchase to be done on our DEX and for the purchase to be immediately staked and get a reduced tax for immediately staking the drip. We had to do a new faucet contract or a slight change to our existing faucet contract for that to happen, and a full cross-chain bridge, which allows people to purchase drip from any of the major EVM chains, as long as the token they're trying to swap into drip is supported by the major DEX on that chain. So this is all work that we had the team, the 5-man team, do. And we outlined a 2-month delivery period, or delivery dev window, to have that done. About a month and a half went by, and we're on pace with all aspects except for the design. And that's when we started to really push them. We need a design. They gave us a design, and we were not happy with the design. And I don't want to go into it because I don't want to trash people, and it would be very easy for me to to do that. So I don't want to do that. But anyways, we were not happy with the design. It was impossible for us to go with that design. We worked for weeks to try to get that design in line with what we needed. We could not do it. We were then like a month and a half over the date that it was supposed to be delivered. Everything else was delivered on time. So everything, 85% of the work delivered on time. Just waiting for the design, so then we can wire up the design. And that's the work that was left to do. Finally, after being about 2 months over the delivery date, we went to a different team to have the design made because it was just apparent we were not going to be able to get a design from this team. We had a very, very solid design made, and we brought that design to the team and told them, look, we've still not gotten a design delivered. We went out, we paid to have our own design made that has everything we want in it. Implement this design. And we did not get a favorable reaction. They did not want to use somebody else's design. So we then decided, okay, well, we're kind of put in a hard place now. Let me see if I can have somebody else implement the work that you guys have already done, which is 80% of the work, a ton of work into this new design, um, because it was such a big job that the person who would have bringing on would have to be taking on, and they would have to learn all of the code, everything we're doing. We spent a couple weeks trying to do that, and it just became apparent that it makes no sense to have someone else use all of this other team's work to wire it up to a design if we could just have the team that actually built it wire it up to the design. So we went back into negotiations with them. We've been going back and forth with negotiations with them, and just today we came to an agreement that they will be the ones to wire up the design. So that's huge progress.
Nice.
Yeah, everything else is done except for wiring up the work to the design. So uh, now that we've come to an agreement on that, things can progress. Things really haven't been progressing. There was really, as I said, I don't know, a week or two ago, there's really only about 2 weeks worth of work left. But things those 2 weeks worth of work could not progress until we came to an agreement on who exactly would be doing the work and come to terms on that. And we finally came to terms on that, which is also why I don't want to get into the weeds about it, because I don't want to risk that relationship, right, by harping on things that happened in the recent past. And the goal, as I've said, is still to have drip drop draw, the new UI and everything delivered first. That way we can go into the Piggy Plinko and the Animal Farm launch and have all of that launch with a positive community that is not waiting for things for Drip to come out. And Drip at that point will be doing its thing and running on full steam, because it's for since day one it's been a community project. We will be able to start having a marketing budget be generated from the fiat on ramp and from also the drip drop draw, but largely drip it as long as it has this cool new products coming out for it and a better UI and all of that, it's going to do its thing, right? We have the community to do that. And you know it's very discouraging to me when we're doing all of this great work. We're securing partnerships. We just secured a partnership to buy out the number one crypto super chat company, right? Sorry, the number one super chat company, period. And we're going to implement we're going to rebrand them and implement a crypto solution for it. We have Piggy Plinko. We have all this stuff that we're building, and it's very discouraging for me when we announce some big thing that we're doing, and what I see in the chat is, yeah, but when drip? Yeah, but when drip? So I understand it, but it's uh people have to understand, drip investors have to understand that there's no more attention and resources we could put into drip to make it happen faster. We're getting it done as fast as humanly possible to get it done. It's about overcoming the things that come with come with building a project that the initial developers were not the creators of. So having the guys that we brought on were not the initial developers of Drip, so that's difficult from there just to do all of these updates. And then also, we had the stuff that I just spoke about. So something like the games or the super chat model or the V3 migration, these are all things that the teams who built it from scratch are the teams that are managing it and are the teams that are completely focused and in charged on it. And in that case, we're able to run full steam ahead with it. And those things are running very well. But with something like Drip, it's a little more messy. There's 3 different dev teams that started it, are working on it. It's something that we've been trying to get done for a long time. So what's important is that we came to an agreement with the team who actually did the work to do this update, that they will be doing the wiring of it, and they'll be implementing all of the stuff that we have in the new design, which a lot of people have seen. And yeah, we're a couple weeks away from all of that being completed. So we're not going to have a big run up, nothing like that. It's going to be as soon as it's completed, we're going to get it out. We're going to celebrate it. Everybody's going to be happy. Drip's going to, going to benefit from that, and all drip holders are going to benefit from that. And then we're going to go right into delivering the next thing. And you guys have my word that the drip stuff is what's coming out next, and then a million other things. So let me just wrap it up real quick with the super chat stuff. So the number one third party super chat company, and when I say third party, I mean it's not the streaming platform themselves, right? So there's YouTube, there's Twitch, and these other platforms where if you want to do a super chat, you have to pay through their payment processor. YouTube charges 30%, Twitch charges 50%, and Twitch is about to increase their fees. And at any point, for any arbitrary reason, they can demonetize you and prevent you from being able to get super chats. What this company that we're working with, which I've essentially bought out and we will be rebranding, does is they provide an alternative option for people that costs only 15%, so half the price of YouTube and less than half the price of Twitch. They have an API that hooks directly into OBS, so the person that wants to donate uses the streamer's link, chooses the amount they want to donate, puts the text. That text then that is then that payment is then made. It triggers an event from the payment processor that says the payment went through, and then that super chat is displayed on the streamer's OBS, which means it shows up in any streaming platform they're on. So they could be streaming on Twitch, YouTube, all of them, or any of them at the same time, and it will show up on all of them because it's showing up in the streaming software, not on the streaming platform itself. So that's what they're currently doing, and they have a pretty strong user base already. And what the issue that they've been running into, because they do not demonetize people, they're committed to free speech, and they're committed to not censoring people for having an opinion that's different from whatever the current mainstream narrative is. They have had activists cause issues with them as far as their payment processor. So Stripe is their main payment processor. People complain, you lose your payment processor. So what we are providing is, number one, our own proprietary payment processor, which we run, which is not reliant on Stripe or any other payment processor company, and also a range of acquiring banks to essentially to settle our payment processing requirements. On top of that, a completely peer-to-peer DeFi payment option where the donator will be able to click on the streamer's link, choose what they want to donate, whether it's an EVM token, or we're starting with the top 7 non-EVM tokens on top of that. So Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, Polkadot, Solana, Cardano, and Litecoin, right? I might have said Litecoin. But those are the top 7 non-EVM tokens that we're integrating. And then all of the EVM tokens on all of the major EVM chains. And we're using a protocol which is pre-formatted to only allow people to do a cross-chain payment if the token has a specified amount of liquidity on the major DEX of the chain that they're trying to donate. So that ensures that the people that are doing the donations are donating tokens of value, and the streamer decides what token they want that donation to be swapped into on the Binance Smart Chain. So the streamer will decide, I want to collect my donations in Drip, for example. And what would happen is the donator will click their donation link, which is one link, or go on our platform and search for them. We're embedding the video so they can even watch the video on our site. They choose the text that they want to donate. They choose the token that they want to donate, and the chain they want to donate from. Uh, they do the donation. It is then swapped onto Binance Smart Chain and into the preferred asset of the streamer. And as long as it meets the required threshold set by the streamer to trigger a super chat, because the streamer could say it needs to be, I want to collect my donations in BUSD, and it needs to be over 10 BUSD to trigger a super chat, or over 15 or over 5 BUSD to trigger a super chat. So at the point our broker contract sends the preferred asset to the streamer, it then does an on-chain event that tells our front end this much token was just sent to this streamer. It doesn't check, doesn't meet their threshold. If so, trigger the super chat. And the super chat shows up in the streamer's OBS using a browser webhook. And that way, we have an uncensorable peer-to-peer crypto super chat model that also supports traditional credit and debit super chats at a rate that is less than half of YouTube, and even less than half of Twitch, in a way that only the streamer will decide what they want to censor. So the streamer can say, if it has these words or is coming from this particular donator, censor it. I don't want it showing up on my stream. But aside from that, it's a censor-resistant peer-to-peer super chat company that effectively cannot be shut down by any payment processor or anybody that would like to shut us down. And that is going to be very attractive to the existing user base of the current company that we'll be rebranding, but also a ton of other YouTubers and streamers that may or may not be involved in crypto. But then it also opens it up to a huge crypto user base, because the crypto user base can accept donations in whatever their token that from the community that they're streaming with. So we have a lot of drip YouTubers. They can decide to take their donations in drip. Also, regardless of what the streamer is taking the donation in, it allows for essentially any EVM compatible token to be donated. So that gives utility to basically any EVM token with liquidity out there, which is huge because there's a ton of people with tokens in their wallet that they would love to spend that they have no ability to spend because there's just no utility behind it. But it will give utility to that. And it also opens up the doors to partnerships where we work with major crypto platforms to provide incentive for streamers to choose their token in as their preferred asset. And we can do things, for example, let's say we have a partnership with PancakeSwap, and we say, hey, provide this much cake to us a month, and we can reduce the fees on people that donate cake by 20%. And or people that choose cake as their preferred asset, we can reduce the fees by 20%. And the reason why a platform like Cake would do this is because it then becomes a major incentive for people to be swapping their tokens for Cake. So that becomes a major utility for PancakeSwap and for their Cake token. And potentially some crypto platforms out there are large enough that it will not even require a payment. Just the co-promotion aspect of having them be a partner would be worthwhile potentially to slightly reduce the fee that we're charging on people that use those tokens as their preferred asset. So it's a really big deal in my opinion. It's going to revolutionize how super chats and how content creators function. They will not have to feel like they have a guillotine over their head at all times, that if they say the wrong thing, they're going to lose their income stream and like their livelihood. And also, it gives major utility to a wide range of tokens out there, including ours. So that's another thing that we are working on. We already have the developers onboarded. We just got approval this week, yesterday, by the well, actually, we got a so it's a multi-step approval. So we got approval on Friday that we would be able to do the fiat payment processing, so the credit and debit payment processing. Um, we got additional approval yesterday about what kind of acquirers we need to go with and where we need to how we need to structure it and establish it, that kind of thing. But that's something. It's really our main focus after getting drip out are the games, the V3 migration, and the super chats. That this is because I think both of these are huge utility. They're major cash flows. They're going to change the space, both the centralized space and the DeFi space, and they're going to be massive for our existing investor base, who will be owners of these cash flows, right? By buying AFP, staking AFP, earning AFP, by utilizing your AFD, and providing collateral in these non-native assets to be able to earn AFD on Animal Farm. So it's just like all hands on deck right now, working to get these things out. And because we have all these teams working at the same time, it's going to come like an avalanche. It's going to be one thing after the other, as soon as this first release happens. So man, I hope people recognize the value and the potential, because I guarantee in 6 months they will realize it, and they're going to be, wishing that they got involved now.
Yeah, I hope for everyone watching that they listen to this closely and they hear about all the cash flows that are coming in, and they really recognize their opportunity to be able to get their ownership of the cash flows before they start coming in.
Yeah.
It's an incredible opportunity, and it's just
The
insane
yeah,
to.
the
Yeah.
V3 migration and the restructuring of Animal Farm by reducing the fees down by 40% alone is massive. That alone could be could make it become one. It's already one of the largest platforms, but like the I would say the number one platform when it comes to yield generating and participation and integration with PancakeSwap. So that alone is huge. Never mind all the other things.
Yeah, so for us, just to finish up, it's been an amazing AMA, all the knowledge and insights you've given us. I just want one more question I want you to ask. This one's a little bit of a different question. My audience is a little bit younger than I guess most other like crypto audiences out there. So I want to ask someone who's accomplished as yourself and has done, achieved a lot of things in life, what your advice would be for someone who's like young, even their early 20s or late teens, and they're trying to make money, they're trying to achieve big things in the world. I just want to kind of get your opinion on what your best advice, like it's like young people trying to achieve, would be.
Yeah,
That's my
absolutely.
question.
Absolutely. So I would say as a young person, you want to take risk that is not going to be a major reputational risk, but you can take some financial risk, more financial risk than you could when you were older, because you have a lot of opportunity to bounce back from a financial loss. So you want to be more willing to do financial risk, but not willing at no point in your life should you be really being frivolent with your reputation. But now, as a younger person, it's the time to be building your reputation and potentially taking on more financial risk. I would say one way that you can build your reputation and start making progress is by choosing a field that you find interesting in, that you're interested in, and looking to people that are currently successful in that field and thinking what you can do to help provide value to them, and what you can do to get closer to them, to start using them as a resource to learn from. And there are a lot of people out there that would be willing to bring you on, if you're willing to provide some sort of value that is not that's not seen as a net negative for them. And it could be as simple as hey, I'm interested in crypto. I want to know how a crypto um, project should be run. I don't know anything about developing. I don't know anything about anything when it comes to doing that. But I can help you put together assets from the community. I can help as an administrator, and I can help clean up the chat. I can help you with communications to make sure we're, people that are trying to get a hold of you can get a hold of you. And maybe for doing these things, I can get involved in some of the meetings because I'm helping with you handle some of the menial tasks involved with what's being talked about in those meetings, and that's how you kind of work yourself in, start to learn, and potentially move up to the ladder, and potentially get to a point where you're one of the trusted members of that team and are potentially doing a lot of the tasks and taking on a lot of the responsibility of whoever that team leader is, to the point where now you're kind of running the show and you can go off and do it on your own. And you've built up that reputation by getting exposure through this other more trusted source. And I would say that is a big thing. So be, be willing to take risk, but not necessarily reputational risk. Look for someone that is currently successful in the field, doing something that you're interested in, and try to see where you can help them. And be open minded to trying a lot of different things. Uh, you could try something, give it give it enough time to try to play out. Don't go into one thing for a week, another thing for a week. Give it some time, try to make progress. But if something really is not working out and you have another opportunity, don't be afraid to take that other opportunity, because now is the time where you make a mistake, and plenty of mistakes are made by every successful person, and you have time that you can bounce back from it. You might not have the same responsibilities that you'll have in 10 years, like potentially kids and a family to take care of, more bills to pay, that kind of thing. Potentially you can live with your family, right? Like your parents, or maybe your uncles or aunts or something, or grandparents for a period of time, and that allows you to take on more risk than you otherwise would be able to if you were had bills to pay and all of these things. And I would say those are the big things, and you need to focus on learning skills more than earning titles. So uh, titles still matter and degrees still matter, especially in some specific fields, but having the skills and the knowledge to be able to actually execute on jobs and careers that there's demand for is almost more important, is almost always more important than having a title or having a degree. So if you're interested in learning how to get involved with crypto or essentially anything, you need to be looking for your own educational resources, and you need to be getting your hands dirty, trying to learn, and trying to just get experience on your own, not necessarily be reliant on an institution to be able to do that. So I learned Solidity and I learned coding in general uh, by working with other developers, and by taking existing code and making small changes to them to try to get some kind of function or utility that I needed for myself. And it was just constant experimentation and asking people and googling and trying things out and seeing if things work. If they don't work, going back to the drawing board. I took no class in Solidity, nothing like that. And now, just like 3 years later or 4 years later, I'm to the point now where the most advanced Solidity code, I can look at it, I can understand it, I can read it, I can tell the devs, no, I don't want it this way, I want it that way. And it's just all self-learned, and I think everybody has the ability to do that, apart from obviously some people have limitations, but I would say the vast majority of people are able to do that. And people that are watching this, I would say 100% of you are able to. If you've gotten here, you can do it. So keep focusing and paying attention to people that are bringing you valuable content, and staying engaged, and staying on a path of value. You know, be willing to make sacrifices now when you're young as well. Um, I know a lot of people when they're younger, they think that's the time to party. And yeah, I mean, you can get some of that out of your system, but now's the time to make sacrifices and to be building a foundation for your future life. When I got out of high school, I went to university and I ended up dropping out of university my first year. uh you know, people, I'm not going to get deep into my story now, but essentially I went to university for chemistry. That was my focus. I was going to get a chemistry degree. I was interested in chemistry. Because I was interested in chemistry, I was familiar with some of the hobbyist equipment and glassware and that kind of stuff, and I noticed that the prices that glassware and, you know, hobby distillation kits and all this stuff were going for huge multiples and huge profit margins based on what you could get them from Alibaba at the time and some of these overseas vendors. But I'm in my 30s now, so at the time doing drop shipping and this kind of stuff was not popular. So there was still like most of the basically all of the world that didn't even know what Alibaba was, which is why the people selling this hobbyist equipment, that kind of stuff, were able to make such a profit margin. And I created a company selling this kind of hobbyist chemistry equipment, and it grew to the point where I had to make a choice where should I continue making on path to $40,000 a month, or should I continue to stay in university to get a chemistry degree, which will likely put me in a lab making $70,000 a year? Like, what do I do here? And so I ended up making the decision to drop out, which is not. Uh, I would not recommend people drop out because still, the statistics show that on average, someone with a degree does earn more than someone without a degree. So, you know, there's a lot of people that are these guru people that will tell you to drop out. I won't tell you to drop out, but I would tell you to be spending your time working on creating these skills outside of university. And if you do get to a point where it's like a no brainer that you need to be focusing on your career outside of university, you can always go back to university, and sometimes you got to take that risk. So, you know, like there's plenty of people that tell you to drop out, and uh, college is not worth going to, and all that. I'm not that kind of person, but yeah. So I would say that's in a nutshell. I could get more advice probably, but we'll talk about it again in the future.
That's cool. I appreciate it. That was some awesome insight. For all the young people watching that, I've rewatched that. I'm gonna rewatch and take notes myself. Forrest, I
Yeah,
appreciate you having on the stream. That was super awesome. You're invited back anytime. Love having you here.
yeah,
And
man.
that's it, man. We appreciate it.
Awesome. That was a great interview. This was your first interview. I'm impressed. You did a great job, and
Thank you.
I'll be back, man. Thank you. Talk soon.
Awesome. Cheers,
Bye.
Forrest.